President's Day by Billy McBride. Copyright by William McBride. ISBN. I awoke from a dream in which I found a small treasure hidden in a secret place. Since my angel wives knew about this dream, Ariel, one of them, hugged me as I woke up and was very excited, telling me that I must remember where I left a secret object that was very special. She said that a very long time ago I hid it someplace inside another object, and that I must find it again. I searched my room and found a basket with a felt heart on top. She said that the secret object was inside the felt of the container. I was able to get inside it after unloosing a bow, and I removed a little treasure from it. In the next room, my den, was a candle arrangement which I thought very impressive. The previous night we spent arranging many candlesticks to make an interesting composition on a desk in the very center of the room. Unfortunately, the night before I had to call the police about the prostitution ring in my neighborhood, which was bothering me very much. My mom called me to see if I would like to get groceries and to come home for a visit. I told her that was a good idea. Whenever I pop some gum into my mouth, I have a saying I always repeat. I always say virgin gum 1. I had some gum and chewed it. A local classical radio that I listened to was very kind to take my request later in the evening to play Beethoven's Pastoral Symphony, which I wanted to hear after seeing that an author wrote about it in a book which I sped read. That morning on President's Day, I returned a book to the library next door before my mom came. It was a book about Emily Dickinson's life. Also, I remember speaking recently about my Facebook friend's book on sleep deprivation and spirituality to her. Her picture on Facebook looked like Jodie Foster. I had been reading recently Shakespeare's Two Noble Kinsmen. I thought much about my wife Elaine as I was reading it, and how good in the best sense of the word Shakespeare is. When my mom came to pick me up to go to the grocery store, I said goodbye to my cat Nellie. At the grocery market, I remembered to choose certain foods based off what I happened to be speed reading at the time. I had been reading Proust's In Search of Lost Time, and what I would get that day depended upon my memory of what I read. So I put Lipton tea in my basket. I put blueberry Nutri-Grain bars in my cart. I bought my angel wives red roses and some bamboo. On that President's Day sale, I put a few Jelly Belly puddings in my cart, being that each cost $. Everything that I put into my cart was based on referencing items mentioned in Proust's book. Grape Crush was added, beef stroganoff, a Hungry Man cheeseburger, and black bread, from a suggestion by Harold Bloom in his book Jesus and Yahweh, The Names Divine. Every mention of food that I could remember reading was taken as a suggestion as to what I should purchase at the store. Books influenced me as a shopping list does. I put Spumante champagne in my basket. Dante Pink Flowers from Italy had recently become my Facebook friend, so I went back for more pink roses. I chose Wrigley's peppermint gum. It was President's Day, and most of the cashiers who had voted for our new president were thrilled, as I was too. I went out to the parking lot to listen to music while waiting for my mom. I meditated upon getting the idea to take literary suggestions from listening to much Charlie Parker, the saxophone player, that week. I shut myself in my car on that cool, misty and drizzly morning and watched the crows in the parking lot peck on the ground. Something seemed very strange about the way the crows moved on that gray day, and I believed then, as I believe now, that they were aliens. As I returned home before going off to visit my mom, and as I put the groceries away, I had noticed an exterminator truck in the parking lot of one of the other units. I believed that that truck was a decoy for some reason, but I did not let it bother me, though I knew that the driver was mad because he had not voted for Barack Obama. Perhaps the driver was part of the crew of builders who had been rebuilding our apartment complex. At any rate, I had my suspicions that the builders were against who I was, and perhaps they themselves were trying something. Some of those men were involved in the prostitution ring, I knew, since I saw their cars drive up at all hours of the night to meet with the prostitute a few floors above me. My mom and I returned to her and my pop's home about 20 minutes from mine. I decided to bring my wonderful big book of Shakespeare's complete works. I was very excited to have gotten all of the new groceries as suggestions from my books I sped read. I drank some milk after reading a little while in that book Falstaff's line about a cat stealing milk. Choosing food and other things by taking suggestions are kinds of sacrifices, mitzvim, because I limited my own freedom to choose by allowing what I find to connect as a string does me with things to eat or be around. Jenny, my most mysterious wife, decided that we should play hydromancists and therefore wash the dishes in a very special way as we listened to our music. She wanted to bless everything by playing and praying to Hashem with water. To make new combinations is a way to pray to God. We had recently come up with a new idea that in each film we made where we danced around while moving objects, that we would make $ per new move. This idea helped my wife and I wash dishes in a very creative and magical way. We moved to the music and thought of the ever-flowing never-ending Ein Sof of the Kabbalah. We were concerned how to dance and put dishes in special places in which would permeate previous arrangements. By doing so, we made a kind of prayer and space flight of my mom's and dad's house to another world. We then moved on to the refrigerator magnets and arranged them magically while dancing. I thought often of the builders, the kind of alien masons who seemed to have been banging upon the pipes of the universe. I awoke from a nap. Mom and dad were having trouble on their computer. I found some bird decorations which I wanted in their bathroom. It was the afternoon, and my wives and I began to work on our special book Hawaiian sonnets and other poems. We came up with the line, "Serpent parents therefore win the day," and wrote another line, "Father Shore, motherhood rain, removes dreams dry." I was very proud of our writing. I had a strange feeling I was challenging my family in a family romance to not take away bits and pieces of my life, the life which I was supposed to have lived throughout my whole life. I remembered my family tree and the history of my relatives. I remembered how I had descended, who had caused others to resent me so that my life was being blocked. This was a question which I answered and resolved to resolve and did that day. I got up from my writing to show my new lines to my dad. Dad showed me a book on Buddhism and the environment of the Buddhist's home. I figured out the riddle of why I had no life by thinking more of my own family's reasons for their beliefs. I gained a supreme hope that my life which I had blocked from me was going to be resurrected from out of the ashes I was so used to knowing. The book which my angel wives and I were using for inspiration for the book we were writing was Harold Bloom's Stories and Poems for Extremely Intelligent Children of All Ages. I went outside and rested in the gray mist on a bench. I loved the tree of my neighbor's home which looked like a tree drawing on the cover of my book by Samuel Beckett. I checked my Facebook page. A lady with two beautiful white dogs walked by. I started to believe that my mom was not really my mom, and my dad disguised too. My mom was really Emily Dickinson, who was to be my new wife, when the time was right, and my dad his younger self helping me to remember her. It was another planet I was on. I became involved in an endgame within that home with them. My pop was to leave the home for good and I would be reunited with Emily. Just like in Geoffrey Chaucer's Wife of Bath's Tale, a character was to change into a partner for the narrator, and my mom, who was really Emily Dickinson, was soon going to become more real as her. I was myself becoming my older and best self. It was not Earth anymore, and my wives had planned out this special day for me as we flew the spacecraft house to this other alien world after we washed the dishes in our special hydromantic way. I believed that I was royalty, and I knew I was going to have my marriage arranged to Emily. However, I remembered that she was also Calypso from the Odyssey and that I would turn her and her immortality down to be back on Earth with the angel Penelope and my other invisible angel wives. I backed out from her desires gracefully because I wanted to remain loyal to the rest of my wives. I therefore gave up immortality. This was the beginning of the end to a long day's endgame. I felt stranger than I had ever felt before. I had felt at home, that my dad was backing away as he was setting me up in a good way to marry Emily. But, in that eternal palace, even though I knew it was the best place for me, I knew that I must return back to wander upon the earth. My mom was really an alien, who was the spirit and body of Emily Dickinson. She was helping me to remember her. Emily was disguised as my mom, but she was also Calypso. In Emily's car, which was stuffed with Christmas decorations to be hauled somewhere for storage. That night I returned to my apartment on Earth. Her driving. We picked up some medicine for me at the pharmacy drive-thru and I talked with her a bit. I said to her, quoting Groucho Marx, that I would never be a member of a group that would have me as its member. We laughed and I was home. And as she left I opened the bottle of Spumante champagne to celebrate my wives and our lives during this very special Machine Cloud Merkaba experience. Finis Love and Angels by Shay McBride. Hi all. To the neighbors be Navuva hi be Navuva neighbors love and angels. Bertha I must visualize Hope and Jill in order to hear them. Be Navuva Hope and Jill may sound a little muffled at first, but I will get used to it. Be Navuva what does Hope look like? What Jill? Be Navuva Shay and Titania are gorgeous. Binavava Patacake 2. They all are. Binavava Hi Sarah Binavava Hi Sarah roll call Binavava to Hope roll call Binavava to Kelly roll call Kelly hand versus ears. Kelly Jill's in my hand. Binavava Hope should not sound like my mom Binavava remember more. Hope my angel wives always sound sweet to me. Binavava what did the Italian diva say about singing? Rosalinda she said to sing with a little smile always. Binavava remember when Jill stopped being heard. When she came into your hand after telling you that she was an angel. Kelly things can change back. Kelly I desire very much to hear you all. Binavava my desire is progressive and hopeful. Binavava either. In my room before. It was Hope or Jill I heard taking turns. Binavava how do I organize time with all of my wives? Binavava after my sensuality. We had a silent time for a while. Then it would start over. Binavava wives. Binavava narrow your goals down. Ariel the positioning of Shay helps me to hear her. Binavava Shay is this or that close to me. And turned in this direction. And I talked with her. Binavava remember Shay's quality of speech. And Teresa's. Ariel's. And the others who love me. Binavava they are playful without being ironical. And they don't joke as much as mom and dad. Binavava so how do I remember to visualize them as I talk? Binavava in fact I wonder. How do I talk with them? What makes it possible? Binavava talk with them can either be shortened speech or a lengthy discussion. Binavava the lengthy discussion is the one I want to do with them and hear again. Binavava how do I find a lengthy discussion subject matter without shortening it into speech? As in roll call. And how do I speak in length without too much sensuality? And how do I visualize them and not talk to mom and dad? Binavava how do I learn not to listen to mom and dad as much as them? Binavava enthusiasm is a great motivation for a chat. Binavava tikva, hope, is also a great motivator for chat. Binavava hope, social hope, is a great chat motivator. Binavava sociality is a great subject matter for the angels and I. Binavava sociality as life and visualization of hope and Jill are my goals. Binavava so why am I still writing? Binavava maybe the writing can lead to social application. Binavava relationships and dating led a few times to a social application. Jill I am a little addicted to joking with my parents. Binavava Bobby. Binavava learn some patterns of the angels' movements into positions. Bertha slowly learn where they are in space. Bertha the subject matter you talk with your wives about is sweet stuff. And not the usual joking around with your parents. Bertha I toggle between close positioning and fantasy. Binavava don't be so aggressive. Let your wives and friends choose for you what to do and who will be seen. Bertha wait for a kiss. Bertha get comfortable. Jill may kiss you. Bertha how'd we do it before? Binavava you tapped it in you finger. Jill can I tap into you now? Binavava yes Jill commit to thinking about what you're talking about. Jill triangles and more. Jill freedom then truth. Jill you have other commitments today. You're not as free as last night. Jill shapes or more. Marry and scrape each one in layers and then dry it. Bertha tape little bursts. Schnoona parallel direction of scrape. Donna color scheme. Shay there could be slight differences. There could be swatched parts. There could be a great variety. There could be just 3 or 4. There could be 2 layers. One on bottom. Kabbalah subject matter. Teresa scrapes in all different directions. Teresa abstract and organic. Teresa attractive colors. Teresa batteries. Teresa dream. Made you look. Andrew. Pictures we've got pictures. Memories yes. But renouncement of the situation. Moon builder smile. No pain. You are an idiot. With my hand signing it. Maybe if somebody can pull off the horseplay. I can. Reverend Rinnerhood our clothes in the pictures changes. I became what I beheld. Joseph Bui's Tob Shbeeb activated. Non-sentimentality. Not schizophrenic. But perverse knowing. Billy. That's how you play your synth. Tob Shbeeb I do that with y'all. It's just that if I ever did it with anybody else it would be different. Metal Settle. Gold Mold. Firebird. That song I sang was a song in which I stared at cars going by. Hey. Poncho nice car. Reginald Long Long's enthusiastic fist pumping. A variety of situations for horseplay. Dad the old geezer. Maybe I could make up my own. Maybe I do on the piano. Maybe I will beyond it. Mino slave remembering as a kind of formula for all. Knowing. Perverse knowing and being. Ha Colby Sada. Moon builder smile. Matt and Charlotte upstairs. Maybe I can yell out Mike and David when that happens. Mike and David affecting me. Michael. And David. Good Michael and David Young. Shape-shifting and changing the environment. I wonder if all successful dreams are uninhibited like that. Moon Builder Smile and Power Hour meeting. I was a child again. Lots of energy. Clap hands for players Celestial. Unfallen. Play with kids as a kid. An adult as an adult. And angels as an angel. Ariel Chameleon. Robbie Pop singing scat songs. Billy M Crunch bars are my favorites. Billy M Wow Mom you're a monster. Billy M Energy. Can't. HB. You can pull it off though. HB. Finish some poems by Libby McBride. Valerie on books. Many of the books we read were designated as dictionaries. The texts became magically obscure. Even some pages became dictionaries to know. The writings of more could do nothing more. The differences between the troubles we make are the differences between treatises. Calm and peace make differences within. The titles of the books were finally changed. Markings and margins have designators. The final categories of the names were changed. The titles are beautifully anonymous. The story of the happy author and her treatise provided the designators as well as a meaning-giving reason as to her deeds of each text. Nobody knows or seeks to know what happened to the writer. Valerie Dinosaurs and Warriors. A meteorite hit an area of Hawaii. It was on the news and the crops became infected. Dinosaurs were eating these crops and becoming infected with the terrible sickness of ancient dinosaurs long ago called hunger. I was bouncing around through a landscape when I saw a dinosaur herd chained to palm trees. The dinosaurs looked okay but a little sad. One dinosaur was loose. I was worried when it approached me, so I climbed a palm tree. It jumped up to eat me. I swung myself over to a mansion. There were all kinds of crazies, monsters, and a boss. There was a kind of R&B music playing in rotary-like speakers above me as well as a video camera. A terrible event occurred when dinosaurs were released by the boss who monitored the rooms of the mansion. Some dinosaurs came into my room and I bounced high above to a ledge. There was a greater figure than the boss who lied and said that I was a blasphemer. Then as I hid under a table I said the words, "The dinosaurs have to eat." I also said that the carnage that was happening around me was shocking, but that is why there were people who could clean it up. The boss was impressed at my boldness and stopped the senseless killings of his guests. I was impressing all with my confidence and found a sword in the other room which was stuck in the ground. There was fighting going on still and I pulled it out. Two men approached me, and I told one of them, "I give this sword to you." The other one thought I would give it to him because he looked more like a warrior, but the first one got it and I blessed them because they were my sons. Then as we began to fight, there was no chance that the opponents would win so the fight was given up. We were all of us concerned about the drugged plants which the dinosaurs were eating causing them to crave meat. I went into another room where the figure who insulted me as a blasphemer was and the guy next to me was very scared of him, though I was not. He suggested that we fight a battle against them, and I wanted peace. So I remember that there was a problem between those men on his side who wanted war, and mine who wished for peace. It was a battle of war versus peace which I was beginning to worry over until, in the midst of the crowd, the great figure admitted in a foolish way, and dressed up as a fool, that he was just playing around. Then wearing a black and white top hat, shouted out to everybody in a squeaky and sentimental voice, "Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior." We all were leaving the place shocked at all the blood and gore, and my friend Charles walked beside me for a little while. I flew up to a ledge to walk. And I remembered having no fear whatsoever in anything since I had magical powers and since I remembered my sons to whom I was passing the dream and the situation on to. It was Metal Settle. Beyond the mountain in the kingdom's landscape and further than the sea, the hills, and the heavens there are many people one knows. There are also a great many others whom we do not know. Individuals are found everywhere like more heavenly drops. Men and women can be hard to reach as lettuce in the weeds. Others affect each other emotionally or some people never meet. Sometimes a closeness, which is a rich wisdom, occurs between men and women, or sometimes ambivalence. Many times our affections grow stronger, a merry deal. Some people do or will love continually, which is my crown or yours. Closeness for man by individuals grows, like a hairy chin, just from knowing a few. Others who care for nobody is very rare. Bertha the traveler. A sunny sun is our one doorway, and is like the pull of a wife. The gold found in the blue shall break out above the trout who are also gold. Its in-air death from its flight above all spears the air over the waves of the sea, and, like an active moth falling into the devilish blue below, falling into the hell of nature of life and death, its own life goes out like our lives, which are feathers and then ashes in peace. Tov Shalom. The blindness during your searching, you learn not to be angry if you must descend to the fools. The thorny purple leaves, going on with their triumphs, have learned what parting from the shaken vine is like. The great tower of yourself is within the thorn and thorn. You yourself understand that the fiber ends as you learn to part. But a tomb is questioned throughout one's life. And the thorns and thorns will once again blind you in your search for how to learn and how to part from those thorns and thorns. Tov Shalom. Therefore win the day a light fight to knock down a fiery saying. Check the date for a fun orienting and a gold day. Look at the serpent, wishing it away with a hope plate in the wind and dew. Blown candle rays waving 1, 2, 3. Playing pirates on celestial missions. Soon on heaven's border, man warring with the goblins. Our pulled out missions of secret sayings. Blowing birds in the rain cradled there. Silent dome of a home of the dancing thunderbirds. A brassy sea hell 1. A wind bursting the fire and dew. Panes of rocks in a mess, but apparent hopeful for America. Tov Shalom. Good all separated even within a good universe. All are dumb to open the pristine doors in their grand glory. There are no lines of flames blown by those clearly maddened by their rough pains. A living man under the golden trees. An education sparked. Hearing the whip. Separating ahead in the 5th month. The winter withered spaces to win. A dying man weeping at night. One sad secret border. A moth spinning on its mind's missions. A nurse passing by the childlike goblins. Yaffa. The world blue and old love reigns as a sure soul deals the bad fire fee for its parent made art. Magnetic night cat checking formulas to give. A bird's few meals on a masked snake con. The sea bordering nothing wins the books by and by. Roll the bike away from the flames of hell. The night's nose ruined by an idle stumbling dancing. A talking roadhead drunk with the loudest thoughts. Day eagle of the sun. Firepower flat. Windbreakers waving. Children creeping to their dad. Period full of wind and the date's meaningful quest. Kabbalah heavenly night. Resurrection night. Fresh and right about it. An ancient fight 1. The light of oblivion. God's heights. However, those I know are slightly behind. Returning to the past home. The traveling of ship and mast. Inventions amassed. A sweet and chaste woman. The lunch was a blast. The lasting perfections. Kathleen and Yaffa. Dan is a woodblock. A wet night. Dan's paradise is his past. Dan is a wolf's tracks in the swamp mud. Dan is a jack in the box. Dan is the best that we've got. Levi had a sweet sleep yesterday. Asher is gifted with lawmaking. Zebulun traveled to Scotland. Asher threw the trout back. Gad has no obligations to do at all. Judah is a lifesaver. Benjamin is a nightmare. Issachar is Mazashan. Simeon is isolated. Naphtali is a contemporary reader. Reuben is a duel to be fought be Navuva Finis.